What's up YouTube, Dow here from Zephyr War Games, and today I am bringing you an update for Dark Magician, and this one is somewhat slightly amazing. You will understand that pun later on, but we do have the brand new Magician's Salvation within the deck, and at the end of the video I will show you two combos. One, a 3-card amazing combo, one of them a 2-card combo that can be adapted as well, and go from there. If you want to see a test stand video, then make sure you smash that like button and get this video to at least 50 likes to unlock the consistency video for this deck. With all of that out of the way, after smashing the like button, hitting the notification bell and subscribing, let's dive head first into the updated profile for Dark Magicians. So, we are running 2 Dark Magicians. Now, a couple of ratios in this deck is something that I probably never have done in the past, but being part of this Dark Magician group, I've actually been able to kind of get some more thoughts, some other different opinions on ratios and stuff like that, and playing 2 Dark Magician makes a lot of sense for the pure fact that we're not playing Apprentice, we're not playing stuff like Navigation, and opening up multiple Dark Magicians can be a very damaging brick. We're then playing the one Red Eyes Black Dragon. Pretty straightforward and simple on this particular one. He puts the work in, he does what he needs to do, and he gets you across the finish line just by being a Dragoon factor. If you wanted to, there is part of a combo that I'll show you as well, where you can make Dragoon if you open up Red Eyes Fusion without having to use Red Eyes Fusion and not get the rest of your cards in play. Then, of course, we move into the probably most important, if not second most important card of the entire deck, and that is Triple Magician's Rod. Normal summon this, get your Salvation, use the Salvation, set an Eternal Soul, ready, good to roll. Triple Magician Souls, yes, I know until we get the reprint, this card is still ridiculously high, and with the announcement of all the new support, it's only going to get higher. But if you are on a budget and you don't own Souls, the closest alternative that can continue the combo, you'll lose a couple of draws from out the combo, but to continue it, stuff like Jester Conflict and Fusion Deployment can help. They're not exact replacements, but they're as close as you get when you're comparing the prices of something like £1 for Jester Conflicts, £1 for Fusion Deployments, and like 70 plus on Magician's Souls. Then we've got the one Dark Magician Girl. I'm sorry it's not the anniversary art. I couldn't bring myself to open up the sealed version of it, but it still does the job all the same, and that is Brick Your Hand. You never want to see Dark Magician Girl in the hand. It is always the target you send off of Magician's Souls 9 out of 10, because you know you're going to Red Eyes Fuse using Dark Magician and Red Eyes from the deck, meaning your Soul Servant is going to be a draw 2 rather than a draw 1. Now, in this particular build, rather than me going for mana, I am also sneak preview playing Magician's Combination because I like to get the most out of Dark Magician Girl when I put her in the deck. Yes, you can bring her back with Salvation and vice versa, but the chances are you're not going to be doing that because you're going to be sending Salvation to get a draw off of Magician's Souls. Then for the Amazing Spice, I am playing the Amazement package. Now, the reason I've gone with this is for the pure factor that off of the Magician's Salvation, which is your go-to play now, you should always get a trap card that can be activated. Whether you choose to resolve that to summon a Dark Magician back or not is entirely up to you, but the idea is you're always going to trigger the Administrator. He will then come down, give you the ability to book a moon one of your opponent's monsters, and it just adds to the backup of your Dragoon another form of interruption. Not to mention, if you open up the nuts and you do get the Dark Magic Circle, which again is less of a relevant play right now, you will get a Banish, a Book a Moon, and a Negate, which very few decks have the ability to play through. The other thing about Arlenko or Arlecchino is it stays in the hand, so it's something that can't get droplet, it's something that can't really get Dark Rulered. Obviously it can after a certain point, but the idea is that you're using it as a hand trap as well. Speaking of hand traps, we are playing Triple Ash Blossom. If you have cross-out designators and you are fearful of certain hand traps, because let's be honest, the biggest hand traps that hurt Magician's Rod is going to be Ash Blossom, Imperm, and Veiler. So what I would advise you do, we are already main in Imperm, but I would cut Ash down to 2. I would then put in 2 Veiler, or 1 Veiler at least, and then you need to find your space for your designators and kind of go from there. So that's it for the monster lineup. Very tight in what you see. You don't really need much more than that. Moving on to the spells. For the Dark Magician spells, we are playing Triple Soul Servant. Sadly, there is no close comparison to this. This helps make sure your circle goes off. It helps stack your deck with any of the Dark Magician cards that you need, including monsters, which is something I wish Circle could have done. And then off of the top of that, you are going to have the ability to draw 2 cards towards the end of your turn as well. We've got 2 Dark Magical Circle. Again, I would usually be playing 3 of this, but after deep conversations with the team or with the group, it kind of makes more sense that if you open up multiple of these, you're going to be burning one of them. If you reveal a circle off of a circle, you're not really going to be able to go far. I am 9 out of 10 using one of these as fodder because of the pace of the game. You're going to be using one as fodder for draw, and then you can activate the other one, banish a card, and off you go. You should have the ability with Dragoon in the game to OTK the next turn, and if your opponent completely breaks your board, they're going to OTK you. So the pace of the game is why we don't play navigation. It's also why we don't rely on the circle as much, but these 2 cards are incredibly important for my spicy tech of the true name, which I'll explain more in detail in a second. We are playing the 1 Magician's Salvation, so when this card is activated, you get to set an Eternal Soul directly from your deck. If you normal or special Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, you get to target that monster on the field and 1 in the grave and revive the 1 of the alternative name. So basically, if you've got Dark Magician Girl on the board, you bring back Dark Magician. If you've got Dark Magician, you bring back Dark Magician Girl. Very good, but very specific. 9 out of 10, you're activating this to get your Eternal Soul, and then your Souls becomes a draw 2 or a draw 1 if you need that Eternal Soul. If you don't really need that additional draw, then you just get rid of Salvation, nice and easy, free draw, and you get to go from there. We've then got the 1 Inheritance, because as you go through your combos, you might not have been able to get to a Soul Servant yet. You might not have been able to get to a Salvation, a Circle, anything like that. Being able to get into Inheritance, because we are playing a lot of spells, then gives you the ability to get specifically to the missing piece that you might need, and that can lead you into additional draws, it can lead you into additional interruptions, and that's the whole Mac Daddy of it. We've then got 2 of the true name. Now this combos off incredibly well with Dark Magical Circle and Soul Servant. Now I haven't put a god in this particular build, but you can do if you want. Really, I didn't see the need for the god specifically. The reason for the true name is that comboing off any of these 2 gives you the ability to pretty much, off of Soul Servant, it gives you the ability to add, if you haven't got the ability to draw or anything like that, it gives you that ability to just add that card that you stack to the top of your deck, whether it be Rod, whether it be Souls, and lets you go further. If you do it off a Dark Magical Circle, it gives you access to your entire deck, because any card you stack to the top of the deck can be added off of the true name. So quite simply, a Circle plus combo of the true name. If you reveal a Dark Magician card off of Circle, you add it, you activate true name to add the other card, and then if you did have a god, you summon it from the deck, normal summon one of the monsters you've got in hand, wham, bam, thank you, Verte, Anaconda, wham. Simple as that. It's down to personal preference. Like the Amazements, again, is a 7-card engine, or technically 6 now that I've cut it down, engine that you can adapt and play around with as you see fit. That could be the Dogmatica engine, that could be a full like stun floodgate engine. It is entirely down to personal preference on where you want to go, but I did find a really nice combo with the true name, and it just made it a bit more consistent as alternative options to opening up Souls, because what I wanted to make the combo do is be as consistent as possible without having to open up 2 specific cards. Obviously it gets better when you open up those specific cards, you'll see later on, but there are ways of substituting stuff like this to help you do that. 2 Amazement Ticket, you can play 3 if you want. I kind of understand the fact that I'm playing the same ratio of these as I am for the monster, but the idea of this is this gives you a quick play Book of Moon that you can drop during your opponent's turn, or it gives you the Arlecchino, and the Arlecchino, being a level 7, can help you with rank 7 plays, but it's mainly going to be there comboing off with Souls, because Souls can send the trap cards from your hand, you get additional pops, and then you're getting a Book of Moon. And again, like I said, your consistent end board is like a Dragoon plus. So if you get a Dragoon during your turn, you then get an Arlecchino during their turn. Just those 2 monsters on the board already is pretty much game, because Goon is going to blow up 2 cards, burn your opponent for 2. Arlecchino is going to be able to pop more cards as well, because you would have at least put one of the trap cards into the graveyard, and then they're just going to be swinging in for, I believe it's 75 or 76, sorry, 56 in total. So it means Goon's only got to pop, unless you include Verte, Goon's only really got to pop like 1900 attack. For the fusion spells, we are playing the 1 Magical Eyes and the 1 Red Eyes. So the Magical Eyes fusion is there for the pure fact that if you do open up Red Eyes fusion but still want to play your Rod and the Souls play, you actually have a very nice route to go through Magical Eyes fusion. Yes, it will only give you a 1 pop destroy burn Dragoon, but that's still all you really need. And then the next turn you can just drop the Red Eyes fusion once you've got protection of the Goon, and then you can set up a second Goon if you want to. Magical Eyes fusion can also help you get to the Dark Magicians as well. So if you do open this up, you do put Dark Magician or Dark Magician Gale and then a Spellcaster to the graveyard. So you sacrifice a draw, but then you get the Dark Magicians, plus you get Verte, and then you get Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Keep in mind, if you've got the Eternal Soul, it means you're going to get a draw and a set off of the Dark Magicians during your opponent's turn. There's just so much more you can do. And then again, thanks and shout out to the group. I'm playing a small Sky Striker engine. There was part of me that was like, oh, I really don't get this. I'm not a huge fan of it. But then when they explained it very well in the sense that your drones becomes a free effect monster on the board. So a free Kagari, add this back to the hand, easy discard fodder with souls. Your Eagle booster helps you make Verte and protect you from everything. Yes, you could play the cross out. Yes, you could be relying on a Call by the Grave. But at the end of the day, if your opponent tries to Imperm, if they try to Nib you, heck, even if they try to Ash or Veiler you, you can just flip the Eagle booster and you're going to guarantee to get your goon through. And that's really important. And then if you open up the booster and draw into any of these, they're just free fodder cards that can either be discarded off of goon or can be sent with souls for the additional draw. Final spell card is the one Call by the Grave because, again, it just, in my opinion, it doesn't require other cards to be useful. Like, this can hit the majority of cards that I need it to hit, and that's always a good start as well. Moving on to the trap cards, which is pretty much where most of the spice and additional power comes from. We are playing Double Amazement Attraction Horror House. I was playing this at 3. I cut it down to 2 because, again, you really don't want to actually open this card. Like, you've got access to your traps through your Dark Magician engine. The whole idea of getting access to this is all going to come from your Arlecchino, and that's just going to give you a free Book of Moon. Triple Imperm because you get a turn 0 Arlecchino. If you open up this and Arlecchino, you can Imperm your opponent's Appaloosa, summon down Arlecchino, and then if they try to normal summon a Tri-Brigade or anything, you go, right, cool, Book of Moon before you use the effect. And then you would have already had a trap card in the grave, so then when it comes back round to your turn, Arlecchino just banishes that, pops the card you've just Book of Mooned, and then you still have 4 more cards to play with. 2 Eternal Soul, 1 to set off a Salvation, 1 to draw in later on down the line, because 9 to that 10, the one you draw into off a, set off a Salvation is probably going to get sent, and if you choose not to send it, you can hold on to it, and then you just go with 1 less draw. And then the final card is Combination for the pure fact that you're consistently putting Dark Magician Gale and Dark Magician to the graveyard, so this card is 9 times out of 10 always going to be active, especially when you combo off with Salvation. Now, if you were to take Dark Magician Gale out for mana, you definitely take out Combination, and that's where you can mess around with the deck ratio and comes down to personal preference and play style of how you want to do it. So that's it for the main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck. We'll burn through the fusions. So we are playing, of course, 2 Dragoon. If you don't have 2, 1 is more than enough. It's just one of those times where if your opponent outs the first one, you still have Magical Eyes Fusion to get you into the second one, but it is a little bit of overextension. You don't really need it. You've then, of course, got the Dark Magicians, and then, of course, you've got the Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. So, obviously, both of these can be used, and you can do them off of, less so Verte off of this one, but it does give you other options. This can protect your Eternal Soul, your Field Spell, if you go down that route. 9 to that 10, let's be honest, because of the pace of the game, you're going to go Dragoon, it's going to win you the game, and then the Dark Magicians is just an additional backup. Because Arlecchino is a level 7, we are playing 2 rank 7s, 1 in Red Eyes Flare, 1 in a Bon Illusion. Red Eyes Flare is actually quite nice, because if you make this, let's say you go Arlecchino, activate Eternal Soul, bring back Dark Magician, you can make Red Eyes Flare, and then Red Eyes Flare can then bring back the Red Eyes in the grave. So you've got a nice little bit of play there. Of course, bringing back the Red Eyes is where you can then go into an Abon Illusion. The Abon Illusion is going to be less effective because you are only playing 2 Dark Magicians, and 9 to that 10 you've already burnt through them. So these are very easy flex spots. Other cards you can look into is like Appaloosa. You can look into a Nightmare package of Cerberus, Unicorn, or Phoenix. And you can also look into stuff like Relinquish Anima and Link Karibo. So it comes down to your personal preference on that. For the Link monsters, for our Link ones, we've got the 1 Kagari. Like I said, just add back the drones, off you go again, and then that lets you play. The 1 Unduct is part of the combo should you open up Red Eyes Fusion. The 1 Link Spider, so sometimes if you want to turn, or if you need to turn your warrior token or your drones into a Link monster, you can go for Spider, but obviously you need to get rid of the Sky Striker first. So it's something to consider, but this also comes up as well. Should you bring back Dark Magician and already use Unduct off of the back of your Selene, you can then turn it into Link Spider, and that gives you access to Avramax. For Link 2s, of course, Verte Anaconda and IP Masquerena. If you were to put the God in for the true name and you start to play around with stuff like Jester Conflicts, there is a way of getting Verte plus IP and Dragoon, so that during your opponent's turn you either make a 2 negate Appaloosa or you can make a Avramax, which means your opponent can't attack anything else. And Avramax, in my opinion, is one of the best kind of defensive and cheap Link boss monsters. Speaking of, we've got Selene, so you can actually make this turn 1 very easily. So if you've activated drones, for example, you go drones, Kagari, add back drones, activate drones, souls send Dark Magician Girl, anything like that, can summon it back if you want to. And then you've got the ability to make Selene. So that is one aggressive way of doing it, because then you can just go make Selene. Selene can bring back souls and Selene goes into access code plus 3k, and you'll have a fire and a light in the graveyard ready to just go, cool, banish, pop, let's go. Obviously you need more spells, but that's where Soul's effect comes into play as well. The one BLS, you're very rarely going to make it, but you're going to want to have it than not have it if you've got access to it, because when you make it, your opponent is going to struggle to out it. Then of course access code as your Mac Daddy boss monster, and then your Mech Knight Crusader Avramax. Now before you go, this deck is way too expensive. I can't afford all these cards. Well, you do have alternative options. Avramax is your alternative option to access code. It is still just as much of a boss monster. It does cause your opponent a lot of issues. The BLS is not a mandatory use. It is just an alternative option to have. This is where you can cut out a Goons, cut out the XYZs, cut out the access code, and that's where you can start going to Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Phoenix, Cerberus. You do have alternative options. Do not use this list as I must play it this way. The only cards that you must play in order to resolve the combo will be Verte and Dragoon, and 90% of Dark Magician players should have access to that, and hopefully the last 10% will be able to get access to it, with, fingers crossed, a reprint in the new year. Okay, so that is it for the main deck and the extra deck. Now let me reset the state and I will show you the 2-card and 3-card combo for this deck. Okay, so like the God opening is these two here. An alternative opening to these particular two is replacing ideally Souls with the true name. You need Rod, here's your normal summon to get everything going, and then just by adding Soul Servant, and instead of Soul Servant the true name to the 3-card combo, you get a draw 4 plus a Goon. With just 2 cards, you're getting a draw 2, so you're replacing the cards you burn, plus a Dragoon as well. So how do you want to do it? Well, you're going to go normal summon Magician's Rod straight up, use Magician's Rod's effect, and this one you ideally want to be getting Salvation. You can risk it and kind of go with a circle to hope you get Salvation, but you're going to get Salvation because it guarantees you an Eternal Soul, which guarantees you a draw 2 off of the Magician's Souls. You activate the Salvation, just going to put it top left here. That is automatically going to set you an Eternal Soul. There we go. You're then going to special summon down the Magician's Souls by sending your Dark Magician Girl from the deck to the graveyard. If you open up Red Eyes Fusion, then what you do is you send Dark Magician, bring Dark Magician back, turn it into Umduct, then Umduct plus Rod goes Verte, send Magical Eyes Fusion, off you go. So that's how you can fix that. At this particular point, if you want that draw 2, then you'll use Magician Soul's effect to send the Eternal Soul and the Field Spell, because more so the Field Spell is less used to you, and you draw 2 random cards. Then what you want to do, of course, very simple, link these two together, go into your Verte, pay the 2k, send your Red Eyes, Dark Magician and Red Eyes Fusion, send them to the graveyard, bring out your Goon. You've got very easy free discard fodder as well, and then if this was your opening hand, you would have replenished your entire hand. So it's just a very basic, simple, free card to play. And the way that this would work differently with the true name is your true name would get you. You would go Rod, search out your Soul Servant, activate Soul Servant, put Souls to the top, true name, activate, recalling Soul Servant, add it to your hand. So you pretty much get the same combo, you just have to go a little bit longer around it, which is why the true name is actually quite important. Then obviously if we reset this and go for our God hand, you are going to need the 3 best cards in the deck themselves, which are these 3 here. You can replicate your Soul Servant with the true name. Again, it pretty much works the exact same in the sense that you go normal summon Rod. Rod would get you Soul Servant, and then you activate Soul Servant, stack your deck, true name, call it, off you go. So with the God hand, how does it work? Well, pretty similar to what we did before. What you're going to do is you're going to normal summon your Magician's Rod, use its effect. This time you're going to get your Dark Magic Circle. You're going to activate the circle and you're going to chain the Soul Servant to guarantee of what you're going to put in the top deck. Now, of course, what we want to do here is we do want to make sure we get our Salvation. So the other 2 cards are irrelevant. We are just going to add the Salvation straight up. You're going to activate that. That is going to automatically set you an Eternal Soul. You're then going to activate the Magician's Souls, send in your Dark Magician to, not Dark Magician, sorry, your Dark Magician girl to the graveyard. Now, it is at this point, if you want a draw 4, you can do, because you send 2 of these, which will ideally be Salvation plus either of these, draw 2, and then you're good to go. If you want to go over draw 3 because you actually like this combo of being able to banish and you want an additional interruption, then you just use to send 1. So you just send the Salvation, you draw 1 random card. We're going to draw 2 more for our opening hand, so we currently have 3 cards in hand. We're then going to link these 2 together. You're then going to go again into your Verte. You're going to use Verte's effect to get you your Goon by sending Red Eyes Fusion, Dark Magician, and Red Eyes to the graveyard. You've then got Soul Servant in the graveyard with a Dark Magician girl plus a Dark Magician as well. So you're going to be able to draw 2 additional cards. Let me just make sure I clear the deck out so the draws are reflective of the deck. So you then banish the Soul Servant. You draw 2 cards, 1 for Dark Magician girl, 1 for Dark Magician. You've replenished your hand. You've got your Eternal Soul, which is going to give you your Circle Interruption, and then you've got your Dragoon Negate. So you've got 2 forms of interruption, and the hopes are that from these 5 cards in hand, you've got other forms of interruption. So obviously, if we were to use this hand for a pure example, I could set the Eternal Soul if I wanted to, or what we can do here is you've got the ability to activate Eternal Soul, your Arlecchino is going to give you a Book of Moon, your Ash Blossom is going to be a nice Ash on your opponent. You can then send the booster off of your Dragoon to negate your opponent, and then you've still got the ability to bring back Dark Magician and banish with Circle. So through that, you've given your opponent 3 interruptions that they need to face, not to mention, if you were to have taken the extra draw off of Souls, you would have been able to keep the Eternal Soul, and that could have been an Imperm or anything else. So they are very basic combos, and this is just to kind of show you the routes you can go and what the deck can do and why the field spell is actually quite important for the deck, and it helps it out massively. But like I said, if you do want to see a full test stand video with this particular deck to show off its consistency, its route of plays, and the alternative options to the Amazements, if you don't fancy that particular engine, then just let me know by smashing that like button, hitting that notification bell, and subscribing, because getting this video up to at least 50 likes will unlock exactly that. With all of that out of the way, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.